Hello, everyone. Tonight, we are going to climb a mountain. Not a metaphorical mountain, a real one. Imagine, for a moment, that you are standing on a narrow ledge of rock, so high up that the air itself feels thin and fragile in your lungs. The wind is a living thing, a sharp and relentless force that tears at your clothes and tries to push you out into the vast, empty blue. Below you, the world is a crumpled map of greens and browns, threaded with silver rivers that glitter in the cold sun. Above, jagged peaks of stone and ice tear at the sky like broken teeth. It is beautiful, yes, but it is a severe, unforgiving beauty. You should know that, statistically speaking, your chances of surviving this kind of expedition are not great. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I'm doing here. While you're at it, post your location and what time it is where you are. It's always fascinating to see where everyone is listening from. Now, turn off the lights. Maybe turn on the fan for some soothing noise. And let's get going tonight. Your name is Nunez, and the mountain has always been your one true calling. You stand apart from your companions for a moment, just breathing, feeling the burn of the high-altitude air. You're from Bogota, a city nestled high in the mountains itself. But this is different. This is the wild heart of the Andes, a place that has swallowed armies and fortunes without a trace. Around you stretches the immense, silent landscape of Ecuador, peak after peak, marching towards the horizon. You've been part of this English climbing party for weeks now, making your way from Quito, pushing ever higher. But while they are here for sport, for the thrill of conquest, and the check mark on a list of peaks bagged, you are here for something else. You're chasing a ghost, a whisper, a legend. You're searching for a place called Pariscotopetl, the country of the blind. The story came to you as such stories always do, quietly, in fragments, shared over the smoky haze of a campfire. It was an old guide, a man whose face was a road map of wrinkles carved by sun and wind, who first spoke the name. He told of a valley perfectly sealed off from the rest of the world, a place lost for 15 generations. The legend says that a tyrannical Spanish ruler, some say one of Francisco Pizarro's own lieutenants back in the 16th century, fled into these mountains with a retinue of Peruvian men and women trying to escape a civil war. It's a plausible enough beginning. Men have been getting lost in these mountains for centuries. Pizarro himself marched through here, not seeking refuge, but treasure, convinced he'd find the mythical city of El Dorado. He found the Inca instead, and in his brutal pursuit of gold, he reshaped a continent. The story of your valley, however, takes a turn. An earthquake, the old guide had said. A great shudder of the mountain called Mindobamba sealed the only pass into their newfound haven. Rock and ice crashed down, creating a series of impassable precipices, locking them in forever. And then a strange disease swept through the valley. It affected only the eyes, slowly stealing the sight from every man, woman, and child born there. Within a few generations, the last person who remembered the sky had passed away, and the country of the blind was complete. The story has all the hallmarks of old-timey clickbait, a tall tale to scare travelers. Yet it has taken root in your mind and refuses to let go. You've tried to piece it together. The location, according to the legend, is somewhere on the flank of Paraskotopetl, one of the most formidable and least explored mountains in this part of the range. Its other name is Ara Yuka, a name the remaining indigenous people use. It's a beast of a mountain, a sheer wall of rock that seems to defy the very notion of being climbed. You remember discussing the tale with a friend back in Bogota, a historian who just laughed. He reminded you that stories of lost worlds are as common in the Andes as llamas. And historians still debate whether the entire El Dorado myth was based on a single Muisca ceremony, or if it was just a fever dream cooked up by gold-hungry Europeans. It's easy to project fantasies onto these vast, empty spaces. He also told you, in a completely unrelated tangent, that some ranchers use llamas as guard animals because they are intensely territorial and will make a terrible racket if a predator or the mailman gets too close. You're not sure how that's relevant now, but your brain holds on to the strangest things at high altitude. But the legend of the valley, it feels different. It feels less like a story about gold and more like a human tragedy, one that has settled deep into the rock and ice. While your companions plan their assault on the main peak, your eyes are drawn to the unexplored eastern face, towards the glaciers and precipices that guard the hidden folds of the mountain. You look over your gear, a meticulous collection of ropes, ice axes, and warm clothing. You wonder if you packed enough socks, the eternal question of any serious expedition. Your plan is simple, perhaps foolishly so. You will separate from the main party at the next camp, feigning illness or a desire to explore a different, less ambitious route. Then you will head east, alone. You will try to find a way, not over the top, but around it. You're looking for a vantage point, a spot high enough to peer down into the lost places, to see if a valley truly lies cradled and hidden away. It's a long shot, a wild goose chase fueled by a storyteller's yarn. But as you stand here, feeling the immense, crushing scale of the Andes all around you. The call of that impossible valley is the only thing that makes any sense. You make your move at the very next encampment, a huddle of tents clinging precariously to a ridge at 17,000 feet. You put on your best pained expression and complain of a splitting headache, of seeing shimmering lights, classic symptoms of altitude sickness. Your English companions are concerned but not surprised. The mountain takes its toll on everyone differently. They are good men, if a bit stiff, and they readily agree to your proposal. You'll stay at this lower camp for a day or two to acclimatize while they push on towards the summit. They wish you a speedy recovery, probably privately thinking you're a bit soft. Another man from the lowlands who can't handle the real thin air. You watch them go, a small line of dark figures against the immense white, until they disappear over the next rise. And then you are utterly alone. The silence that descends is absolute, a pressure on your ears. It's a loneliness more profound than any you have ever known, like you're the last man on earth. For a while, it's exhilarating. You're untethered, a free agent on the roof of the world. You shoulder your pack, feeling the familiar weight of your ropes, ice axe, and provisions, state-of-the-art gear for its time, which is to say it's made of wood, heavy canvas, and an almost comical amount of hope. You turn your back on the established route and head east, towards the blank space on the map. The terrain immediately becomes more challenging. You're no longer on a path worn by previous expeditions. You are breaking trail through untouched snowfields. You cross fields of sastrugi, those strange wave-like ridges of hard-packed snow carved by the wind. They're beautiful in their way, like a frozen white ocean, but they make for treacherous, ankle-twisting walking. The local Aymara people believe the mountains themselves are living gods, powerful spirits called achachilas that must be placated with offerings of coca leaves and alcohol. As you plod along, the sole moving thing in this vastness, you feel it. You feel like you're trespassing on the skin of some enormous sleeping creature, and you hold your breath, praying you don't wake it. For 2 days you press on, driven by the strange conviction that the legend is true. You eat sparingly, melting snow for water, and sleep in the brief, frigid shelter of overhanging rocks. The sun on the snow is blindingly bright, and the cold at night is a physical enemy that gnaws at your bones. On the 3rd day, you find it, a potential vantage point, a high ridge that juts out from the main massif of Parascotopetl, offering a view down into a deep, crescent-shaped depression on the eastern flank. If the country of the blind exists, it has to be down there. The final approach is a steep traverse across a wide couloir, a funnel of snow and ice angled at a dizzying 50 degrees. This is the moment of greatest danger. Your life depends on each placement of your ice axe, each kick of your boot into the frozen crust. The world is reduced to the next 4 feet in front of you. Axe in. Kick, kick, move, breathe. The rhythm is a meditation, a prayer against the crushing void below. And then it happens. It's not a dramatic slip or a failure of gear. It's just the mountain shrugs. The layer of snow you are so carefully traversing, the foundation of your entire world, fractures with a sound like a rifle shot. It's not an avalanche in the way you imagine one, a thunderous wave of destruction. It's a subtle, terrible betrayal. The ground beneath you simply ceases to be solid. You don't have time to yell. One moment you are clinging to the side of the world, and the next you are part of its fall. The sensation is one of complete chaos. You are tumbling head over heels, a rag doll in a storm of white, glimpses of blue sky, then gray rock, then white snow. Flash in a nauseating sequence. The wind screams in your ears. You feel the sharp, brutal impact of your pack being ripped from your back, your precious ice axe torn from your numb fingers. You are falling, sliding, plunging down the couloir, a chute designed by nature to funnel everything towards the bottom. There is a moment of pure weightlessness as you are launched over a precipice, a final, sickening drop into the abyss. You see the jagged rocks below you and think, with a strange sense of calm, this is it then. Scholars still debate how common human sacrifice really was in these mountains before the Spanish arrived. But you have the distinct feeling you're about to become an unscheduled offering to the old gods. But you don't hit the rocks. Instead, you smash through a thin, brittle crust of ice and plunge into something impossibly soft and deep. A massive drift of powder snow, collected for centuries at the base of the cliffs. The impact is still violent, knocking the very breath from your body, but it's a cushioned violence. The snow envelops you, swallows you whole, dragging you into its suffocating, silent darkness. Your descent slows rapidly, and you come to a stop buried in its cold embrace. And then everything goes black. You don't know how long you're out. It could be minutes, or it could be hours. You wake to pain, a dull, throbbing fire in your ribs, and a sharp, insistent agony in your left ankle. But you are alive. Physics, it would seem, took a small coffee break at the exact moment of your impact. You are entombed in snow, but by twisting and struggling, you manage to push your head and shoulders free. The light is soft and diffused. You are at the bottom of a deep, narrow place. Sheer cliffs rise on 3 sides of you, plastered with ice. impossible to climb. They form a gigantic crescent, the very walls that once sealed a valley. In the other direction, the snow field slopes gently downwards, into green, into trees. You have lost your gear, your food, your companions. You have fallen out of the known world. Pain is a sharp and insistent teacher. Every breath sends a jolt through your ribs, a grim reminder of your chaotic descent. You move slowly, cautiously, extricating yourself from the deep snowdrift that so miraculously broke your fall. You imagine you must look a sight, like some sort of half-frozen monster clawing its way back to life. Your ankle, you discover, is not broken but badly sprained, swelling rapidly inside your leather boot. Each step is a fresh burst of agony. Still, you manage to hobble out of the shadow of the great precipices, leaving the snowfield behind you and entering a world of green. It's astonishing. One moment, you are in the high, frozen desert of the Andes, a place of rock and ice. And now, you are in a verdant, almost lush landscape. You have fallen perhaps 1,000 feet, maybe more, into a completely different climate zone. The air here is warmer, thicker, alive with the smell of damp earth and growing things. Patches of moss, as soft as velvet, cushion the ground, and strange, unfamiliar wildflowers poke through the grass in bursts of purple and yellow. Water, clear and cold, trickles down from the snows above, forming little streams that weave through the valley floor. You follow one of these streams, using a fallen branch as a crude crutch. The logic is simple. Where there is water, there is life. As you descend, the vegetation grows thicker. Small, gnarled trees, more like large shrubs, cling to the slopes. Historians have cataloged over 40,000 species of plants in the Andes, many of them endemic, meaning they grow nowhere else on Earth. You look around at the alien-looking flora and realize you are seeing a botanical collection that has been isolated for centuries. It's like stepping into a sealed terrarium. You limp along for what feels like hours, the initial shock wearing off and being replaced by a bone-deep weariness. Your hunger gnaws at you, a hollow ache that seems to amplify the pain in your ankle. Your fancy climbing suit, designed for the bitter cold above, now feels suffocatingly hot. The only sound is the gurgle of the stream and the cry of a strange bird somewhere in the rocks above. As you round a bend in the little valley, you see it. Your heart gives a jolt, a mixture of fear and vindication. Smoke. A thin, gray plume rising lazily into the afternoon air. And below it, clustered along the stream, is a village. It's nothing like the villages you know from the highlands. There are no Spanish-style tiled roofs or bright splashes of adobe paint. This is something else entirely. A collection of maybe 30 or 40 buildings, huddles of stone and thatch that seem to have grown from the ground itself. They are solid, sturdy, and utterly strange. As you draw closer, hobbling slowly through the meadows, you begin to notice the peculiar details. The first thing that strikes you is the absolute lack of straight lines. The paths between the houses are not paved or even deliberately laid out. They are simply winding channels, worn smooth by the passage of countless feet, curving and meandering like the stream they follow. Raised curbs, maybe 6 inches high, line these pathways, little stone ridges that seem to serve no obvious purpose. Then you look at the houses themselves. They are single-story, robustly built of rough-hewn stone, but they have no windows, not a single one. The walls are solid, unbroken surfaces of gray rock, punctuated only by a single low doorway for each dwelling. And the paint. The houses are daubed here and there with splotches of plaster, but the colors are garish, bizarre. Clashing shades of what look like magenta and a sickeningly bright lime green are smeared next to each other, sometimes in clumsy patterns, sometimes just as big, messy patches. It looks like a child was let loose with the paint, someone with no concept of aesthetics. In ancient Rome, the most expensive and prestigious color was a particular shade of purple, Tyrian purple, extracted from sea snails. It was so costly that laws were passed restricting who could wear it. You look at the chaotic mess on these walls and wonder what precious substance they wasted to create this eyesore. Something is deeply wrong here. A village with no windows, with pathways lined by curbs that seem designed to trip people, with walls painted in a random, jarring cacophony of colors. It's a place built by people who have a completely different understanding of what a home or a village should be. A deep unease settles over you, heavier than the exhaustion and the pain. You are an intruder here, a trespasser from a different reality. You duck behind a cluster of those strange, gnarled trees, your heart thumping against your bruised ribs, and you watch, and you listen, and you begin to understand the true, profound strangeness of the country of the blind. You can hear the sounds of life from the village now, murmurs, the clatter of a tool, a soft song. But there's a quality to it, a rhythm that you can't quite place. It's the sound of a world operating by rules you have yet to learn. From your hiding place among the gnarled trees, you watch the villagers, and the unease in your gut curdles into outright bewilderment. 3 men emerge from one of the low doorways. They walk with a strange, gliding confidence down one of the meandering pathways, their hands held slightly out from their sides, palms down, as if feeling the air. They don't look up, down, or side to side. Their heads are held at an odd, fixed angle, and their faces are blank, emotionless masks. They talk to one another in a soft, melodic Spanish, but it's an antiquated dialect, peppered with unfamiliar words and a cadence that sounds like a half-remembered song. They are blind, all of them. The legend was true. Your mind struggles to process the reality of it. It's not that their eyes are closed or unseeing. Their very eye sockets seem sunken, shallow, as if the organs themselves have receded over generations of disuse. Their movements, which seemed so strange at first, now make a terrifying kind of sense. The winding paths with their raised curbs are not haphazard, they are guides. The villagers tap their long fingernails, another odd detail, against the stone curbs to navigate, their steps unerringly precise. They don't need to see the path when they can feel it. The windowless houses, perfectly logical. What use is a window to someone who cannot see the light it lets in? Windows are just holes that let in the cold. You are so absorbed in your discovery that you forget your own predicament. Your injured ankle throbs, an insistent drumbeat of pain. Hunger has become a dizzying emptiness in your stomach. You know you can't hide here forever. You are an intruder, wounded and helpless, in a world that operates by a set of sensory rules you can't even begin to imagine. Your most precious, defining sense, your sight, is utterly irrelevant to these people. Eventually, your presence is discovered not by sight, but by sound and smell. A group of children playing a game that involves tapping stones together suddenly falls silent. One of them turns their head, that blank, unseeing face aimed directly at your hiding spot. "There is a man," the child says, not in a shout, but in a clear, carrying tone. The three men you were watching earlier stop their conversation instantly. Their heads all snap in your direction. It's a chillingly coordinated movement. "A man?" one of them asks, his voice resonating with deep curiosity. They begin to move towards you, not with aggression, but with a cautious, deliberate purpose. Their hands are out, their fingers spread, questing. There's nowhere for you to run. Your ankle screams in protest at the mere thought. You force yourself to stand, leaning heavily on your branch crutch. "I am a friend," you say, your voice cracking from disuse. "I have come from beyond the mountains." They stop a few feet away, their noses twitching subtly, like animals scenting the air. They are listening, not to your words, but to the texture of your voice, the rhythm of your breathing, the faint scent of sweat and fear, and the strange outside world clinging to your clothes. Listen to the thing, one of them whispers. The sounds it makes are queer. This is not going as planned. You imagined being greeted as a traveler, a prodigy from a lost world. Instead, you're the thing. One of the men, who seems to be the eldest, steps forward. "What are you?" he asks, his voice gentle but firm. "I am a man," you insist. "My name is Nunez. I am from a city called Bogota, far, far from here." "Bogota?" The man repeats the word slowly, as if tasting it. "What is Bogota? A rock? A river?" He reaches out a hand, and before you can react, his long, sensitive fingers are exploring your face. It's an unnerving sensation. His touch is light, but incredibly thorough, tracing the line of your jaw, the shape of your nose, the texture of your skin. Then he touches your eyes, gently pressing against your eyelids. You flinch. This is the moment, right here, where your alien nature is truly laid bare. His fingers are remarkably dexterous. There is an old, odd fact floating around that some Victorian doctors believed women had more sensitive fingers than men, making them naturally better at delicate tasks like surgery. A notion that conveniently ignored the fact women were barred from becoming surgeons. This man's touch has that kind of unnerving precision. His face is not smooth, the man announces to the others, and here he presses on your closed eyelids again. Here are clumsy, soft things. They flutter. They are not firm like they should be. He continues his tactile investigation, patting your clothes, running his hands over the rough fabric of your trousers, the smooth leather of your boots. The others come closer, and soon you are being prodded and patted from all sides. A bizarre, silent examination. It's both intimate and deeply impersonal. You feel less like a person and more like a strange piece of furniture they've just found. He is a new-made man, the old man finally declares. He gives your head a final, gentle pat, as one might a confused child. He has been sent to us out of the rocks, but he is still unfinished. He has not yet learned to walk. His voice is strange. His senses are not formed. We must teach him. He labels you a Bogota man, not a citizen of a great city, but a sort of clumsy, half-witted child of the mountains, a natural simpleton. You have fallen from the sky, a miraculous, godlike descent, only to be diagnosed as mentally deficient by the first people you meet. The grand country of the blind has sized you up and found you wanting. They lead you into the heart of the village, not as a captive, but more like a stray animal being guided to shelter. Your ankle protests every lurching step, and you lean heavily on one of the men, a younger fellow named Pedro, who seems patient with your clumsy, halting gait. He navigates the winding, curbed paths with an effortless grace that you can only envy. They talk about you as you walk, not in whispers, but in open, analytical tones. They discuss your strange clothes, the rough texture of your sun-weathered skin, and, most of all, the odd, unfocused quality of your mind. Your stumbling is proof of your lack of coordination. Your inability to answer their questions about the feel of the sky or the sound of the cliffs is evidence of your simple-mindedness. They bring you to one of the windowless houses belonging to an old man named Jakob, a village elder whose hands are gnarled but whose mind is clearly sharp. Inside, the house is dark, but not completely. A small, smoldering fire of some kind of peaty substance provides a faint reddish glow and a surprising amount of warmth. The air is thick with the smell of smoke and herbs and a faint, musty odor you can't quite place. As your eyes adjust to the gloom, you see that the interior is as practical and strange as the exterior. The floor is smooth and worn, with different textures of clay marking different areas. A soft, sandy patch near the fire seems to be for sleeping. There are no tables or chairs, just low stone ledges and woven grass mats. They give you food, a bowl of a warm, thick gruel made from some kind of grain you don't recognize, and a chunk of a root vegetable, served cold. It tastes bland, but it's sustenance, and you eat it gratefully. They give you water in a carved wooden cup that feels warm and polished from years of handling. As you eat, Jakob and a few other elders gather around you, their unseeing faces turned in your direction, their bodies perfectly still, listening. It is here, in the quiet dimness of this strange room, that the full, staggering implication of your situation finally dawns on you. It comes upon you not as a fear, but as a glorious, intoxicating revelation. They are all blind, every single one of them. For 15 generations, they have lived without sight. They have no concept of it. The words see, look, light, dark, they exist in their vocabulary, but they mean completely different things. To see is to understand through touch and hearing. Light is warmth. Darkness is cold. They have built a whole world, a whole culture, a whole system of philosophy and knowledge based on the 4 remaining senses. And you, Nunez, you alone, possess a 5th. A proverb, one your father used to quote, floats up from your memory. In the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. It hits you with the force of a physical blow. You almost choke on your gruel. It's so perfect, so elegant. You are not a simpleton. You are not a half-made man. You are a god in waiting. You have a superpower here, one they can't even comprehend. Of course, you are clumsy in their world of textures and sounds navigated by tapping fingers. But their world is a pale imitation of the real one, the one filled with color and shape and perspective. You can see the cracks in the ceiling above you that they can never know exist. You can see the faint pattern woven into the grass mat you're sitting on. You can see the exact arrangement of people in the room, their postures, their subtle shifts in weight. They are living in a sensory prison, and you hold the key. Historians who study failed states often point to a breakdown in shared reality as a key factor. When leaders and citizens no longer agree on basic facts, the society collapses. You have the ultimate asymmetrical advantage. You perceive a fundamental reality that they don't even know they're missing. The arrogance of it all blooms in your chest, a warm and heady feeling that pushes aside the pain and fear. It's a classic fish out of water story, except you're the piranha that just landed in the goldfish pond. A giddy laugh escapes you, a strange bark of a sound in the quiet room. The elders stir. The Bogota man is happy, Pedro murmurs. His mind is restless, Jakob says, his tone neutral. It jumps from one thought to another like a startled bird. It has no focus. They can't understand. Let them think you are a fool. It will make your ascension to power all the more satisfying. You will be patient. You will learn their ways, their language, their customs. You will bide your time, let your ankle heal, and then you will show them. You will show them what it means to see. You will become their oracle, their guide, their protector. You will lead them, teach them, and rule them. How could they possibly resist? You will be able to predict the rockfall from the cliffs above. Spot the best places for grazing their herd of llamas. You saw a few of them on your way in. Their fleece thick and shaggy, and find lost objects in an instant. They believe you are the student, the poor, unfinished simpleton from the rocks. But they are wrong. They are the students. School is in session. And you, Nunez, are the headmaster, the prophet, the one-eyed king. The world, or at least this little forgotten scrap of it, is yours for the taking. For centuries, explorers dreamed of finding El Dorado and its king. You, on the other hand, just fell into your kingdom by accident. It seems a much more efficient way to achieve absolute power. Your grand plan to become king begins, as most grand plans do, with a series of spectacular failures. The problem is one of language, but it's deeper than just vocabulary. You are trying to describe a fifth dimension to a two-dimensional being. It is, to put it mildly, not going well. Your ankle heals slowly, tended to by the villagers with surprising skill. They use poultices of strange herbs that reduce the swelling and cool the skin. During this period of recovery, you are mostly confined to Jakob's home and the small patch of grass outside it. You who use the time to try and educate them. It feels like your sacred duty, the first step in establishing your benign reign. You don't understand, you say one afternoon to Jakob, who is sitting near you, patiently weaving a rope from some kind of grass. The world is not just what you can touch and hear. There is more. I can tell you what is happening at a distance. For example, you say, feeling very clever, Pedro is coming up the south path. He is about to pass the big gray rock. Jakob doesn't even pause in his weaving. I know, he says calmly. I can hear his footsteps on the gravel. He is favoring his left foot, so his bad knee must be bothering him today. You deflate slightly. Okay, bad example. They have ears like bats. You need to leverage the visual, the thing they absolutely cannot perceive. But can you tell me, you press on, a new plan forming, the shape of the sky? Jakob finally stops his work. He turns his face towards you, a thoughtful expression on his features. The sky, he asks. Yes, the sky. The thing above us. The great space. It is a roof, Jakob says, as if explaining something to a child. A smooth, vast roof over the valley. When it is feeling gentle, it brings warmth, which we call light. When it is angry, it brings rain, and the little sharp pieces of cold we call snow. Yes, but it's not a roof, you say, getting excited. It's space. It's open, and I can see it. It's blue right now, a brilliant, shining blue. Jakob is silent for a moment. Then he asks, is this blue a smooth thing or a rough thing? It's not a thing, you exclaim, gesturing wildly with your hands. It's a color. It's like, how do you describe blue to a man who has never seen it? It's like the feeling of a cool stream, but visual. Ah, Jakob says, nodding slowly. So the roof of the world is soft and wet. And now you say it is shining. This must mean it is making a noise. No, it's not making a noise. Seeing is not hearing. It's seeing. You are floundering, your magnificent superpower reduced to idiotic gibberish. The conversation is a complete disaster. Jakob listens with unwavering patience, and at the end of it, he gently pats your knee. The thoughts in your head are very active, Bogota man, he says kindly. They run around and bump into each other. It must be very tiring. Your brain is not yet settled. It is trying to make sense of a world that is still new to you. Be patient. In time, your senses will grow, and you will understand. He thinks you're hallucinating. He believes your seeing is a mental illness, a symptom of your unfinished, new-made brain. The more you insist on the reality of sight, the crazier you sound to them. You try to describe the distant peaks, white with snow against the blue sky. They ask if the peaks are loud or quiet, if their whiteness is heavy or light. It's impossible. Every attempt you make to explain the world of light only solidifies their diagnosis of you as a poetic madman. You even try to explain the concept of a face, that they could recognize people from afar without touching them. This just confuses them more. Recognition to them is a complex tapestry of scent, the sound of a voice, the cadence of a footstep. The idea of knowing someone by a silent, flat pattern at a distance seems absurd and inefficient. Ancient Egyptians believed that a person had multiple souls, one of which, the Ka, was the life force, and required offerings of food and drink even after death. You feel a bit like you are trying to explain the existence of the Ka. It's a vital, essential thing to you. But to them, it's just a fanciful story with no basis in tangible reality. One evening, you are sitting by the fire with a few of them, and in a moment of frustration, you try a different approach. You tell them about the stars. You describe the vast, black emptiness dotted with countless points of brilliant, silvery light. You speak of the moon, a great luminous disk swimming through the darkness. You try to convey the immense, silent beauty of the night sky. They listen, as always, with rapt attention. When you are finished, an old woman named Correa smiles. "That is a beautiful thought," she says, her voice full of warmth. "Your mind creates such lovely pictures. Smooth things, are they? These stars you imagine in the coldness above the roof? They think it's poetry, a delusion, a mental defect that happens to be rather charming. Your great revelation, your key to kingship, is being dismissed as a quaint form of insanity. You are not a king. You are not a prophet. In the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is the village idiot. Frustration is a corrosive acid, and it's beginning to eat away at your majestic plans for kingship. Your attempts at philosophical instruction have failed spectacularly, branding you as a charming but disturbed lunatic. Clearly, you realize words are not enough. You need to provide a practical demonstration, a definitive, undeniable display of your visual superiority that will shock them into recognizing your power. You need to show, not tell. Once your ankle is strong enough to bear your full weight without shooting daggers of pain up your leg, you decide the time is right. Your opportunity comes on a day when a young boy, scrambling around on the higher pastures where they keep the llamas, loses his footing and drops a precious tool, a small, carved wooden shuttle used for weaving. It tumbles down a steep, grassy slope dotted with rocks and shrubs. A group of men and women gather at the top of the slope, their heads cocked, listening to the faint sounds of its descent. They can track its general direction by ear, but finding a small, silent object in a vast sea of grass is a slow, methodical process for them. They would have to form a line and comb the entire area with their sensitive fingers, a task that could take hours. This is your moment. Stand back, you declare, with all the theatrical authority you can muster. You feel a bit like a stage magician about to perform a trick. Let the Bogota man handle this. I will find it for you in an instant. They turn their blank faces towards you. Pedro, the young man who first guided you, seems amused. The Bogota man is going to search? He asks. Be careful. The ground is uneven. You might fall again. A few people titter softly. They think it's another one of your eccentricities. You ignore them, your eyes scanning the slope below. From your vantage point, it's ridiculously easy. You can see the entire hillside laid out like a map. You follow the path of the fall, your gaze tracing the slightly crushed trail in the grass. And there it is, the small, dark shape of the wooden shuttle, nestled against a gray rock about 50 yards down. It stands out to you as clearly as a fly on a white tablecloth. There, you shout, pointing with a dramatic flourish. It is down there, by the flat, gray stone next to the bush with the yellow flowers. This, you think, will be the big reveal. The pointing, the specific visual details, the stone, the yellow flowers. It has to work. There is a confused silence. He points his arm, someone murmurs. What a strange gesture. Jacob, the old elder, speaks up. He talks of a stone and flowers. Let us go down there. Let him guide us with his strange thoughts. They clearly don't believe you, but they are humoring you, indulging the village madman. A small group, led by Jacob, begins to move cautiously down the slope in the general direction you pointed. This isn't how it was supposed to go. You wanted them to be stunned, to be awestruck. Instead, they're treating it like a game of pin the tail on the donkey with an overly confident contestant. No, no, you say, scrambling down the hill ahead of them, your movements clumsy on the uneven terrain. This way, a little to the left, I can see it. You reach the shuttle, snatch it up, and turn, holding it aloft like a trophy. See, you yell, a little breathless from the effort. I found it. You hold it out to Jacob, who has just arrived, navigating the slope with far more grace than you did. He reaches out, his hand finding yours, and takes the shuttle. He runs his thumb over it. Yes, he says calmly, this is it. It is good that we found it. He shows no surprise, no shock, no dawning realization of your godlike power. But how do you think I found it so quickly? You ask, bewildered. Jacob tilts his head. Your hearing is perhaps sharper than we thought, or perhaps it was luck. The universe is full of chances. It is good luck. One of the oddest bits of trivia you once learned is that the city of Las Vegas has no municipal clocks in its tourist areas. The casinos want you to lose track of time, to be adrift in a world of pure chance. Jakob's explanation feels a bit like that. He's attributing your miracle to a random roll of the dice. Your heart sinks. They have rationalized your superpower into non-existence. They have taken your ace and declared it a joker. The very nature of their sensory world prevents them from understanding yours. In the following days, you try again and again. You predict the arrival of people on the path. You miraculously locate dropped objects. You try to guide them around obstacles they can't feel with their feet. Each time, your success is met with the same placid, infuriating response. They praise your improving hearing, your keen sense of smell, your remarkable good luck. They compliment your active brain for its ability to make connections. They refuse to accept the simplest explanation that you can see. The ultimate humiliation comes during a game the children often play. It's a sort of chaotic version of tag, played in a wide, open meadow. You watch them, a swarm of activity, their movements fluid and impossibly fast. They never collide. They twist and turn, responding to the faintest rustle of clothing, the softest footfall on the grass. Convinced you have the ultimate advantage, you decide to join in. It is a complete catastrophe. You try to rely on your sight to predict their movements, but you are hopelessly outmatched. They are faster, more agile. While your brain is processing visual data, he's turning left, she's ducking. They are reacting instinctively to a symphony of sounds and air currents that you are completely deaf to. You lumber after them, crashing through the grass. You lunge for a child and grab only empty air as they pivot away with silent grace. They run rings around you, their soft laughter echoing in your ears. They tag you again and again, their hands finding you with unerring accuracy while you are still trying to focus on them. You, the man with the divine gift of sight, are the slowest, clumsiest, most useless person in the entire game. The children easily evade you, their finely tuned senses making a mockery of your vaunted superpower. Defeat is a bitter pill to swallow, and you've been forced to drink a whole bottle of it. The game of tag with the children was the final, mortifying straw. Your superpower, the foundation of your entire plan for benevolent world domination, has been proven not only incomprehensible to the villagers, but also practically useless within their society. You are a man with a magic wand that only works on things that don't exist. Your arrogance, Once a magnificent bonfire has been snuffed out, leaving behind only the cold, greasy smoke of humiliation. Your brief, glorious reign as the one-eyed king never even began. It has been replaced by a much more tangible and less glamorous role: village chore boy. The elders, led by the ever-patient Jakob, have concluded their assessment of your abilities. Since you are clumsy on the paths, you cannot be trusted to herd the llamas. Since your hearing is so poor, you cannot be relied upon to stand watch for rock falls or listen for predators. Since your sense of touch is laughably dull, you can't tell their different grains apart by feel. You are useless in the storerooms. So, they give you the jobs that require the least amount of their kind of skill. You are tasked with hauling water from the main spring, a job that requires strong back and little else. You chop the peaty fuel for their fires. You are given the unpleasant task of shoveling out the llama pens, a job that requires a strong stomach more than a delicate sense of hearing. The stench is eye-watering, a fact that gives you no advantage whatsoever. You become their beast of burden, their general-purpose laborer. The Bogota man is now a title stripped of any mystery. It simply means the strong, simple-minded fellow who does the heavy lifting. Your life settles into a monotonous, back-breaking routine. You wake in the gloom of Jakob's house, eat your bland gruel, and then begin your chores. You are a strange, solitary figure in their bustling, interconnected world, while they move with purpose along their intricate network of paths, calling to one another. Their lives interwoven through a constant stream of sound and touch. You exist on the periphery. You are with them, but not of them. The great irony is that your sight, the very thing that makes you unique, serves only to isolate you further. You see them constantly, in all their detail, the way a woman braids her hair, the serious expression on a man's face as he carves a tool, the joyful abandon of the children playing. You see their whole world, but you can never truly be a part of it. You become an object of a kind of communal pity. They are kind to you in the way one is kind to a person with a permanent, unavoidable disability. They leave food out for you. They make sure you have warm sleeping mats. Pedro sometimes sits with you, trying to teach you things, his voice slow and deliberate, as if speaking to a child. He tries to teach you how to identify different herbs by their scent, but your nose is hopelessly primitive compared to theirs. He tries to teach you how to feel the difference in the air currents, but you just stand there, feeling nothing but the breeze. Your world is a blizzard of overwhelming, useless visual data that drowns out the subtle signals they rely on. In a fascinating parallel, many medieval European maps were less about geographic accuracy and more about theological storytelling. placing Jerusalem at the center of the world. Your internal map is similarly distorted. You place sight at the center, and it renders the rest of your sensory world a vague and useless periphery. Days bleed into weeks, and weeks into months. The sharp edges of your ambition and outrage have been worn smooth by drudgery. You stop trying to explain light and color. You stop trying to prove your superiority. You accept your lot. You chop the wood. You haul the water. You shovel the muck. The memory of your old life, of Bogota, of books, of climbing with your English friends, begins to feel like a dream, a story you once read about someone else. The crisp, thin air of the high peaks, the view of the world from above, it's all fading. Your world has shrunk to the size of this green walled-in valley. There's a strange biological phenomenon called island dwarfism, where large species trapped on an island for generations evolve to become smaller to cope with limited resources. You feel like you're experiencing a kind of societal dwarfism, your own mind and ambitions shrinking to fit the confines of your new cage. One evening, after a long day of particularly grueling work, you sit alone on a rock, watching the sun set behind the towering cliffs. The sky is awash with brilliant streaks of orange and purple. It is achingly, breathtakingly beautiful, and no one else can see it. No one else can share it. For the first time, your gift of sight doesn't feel like a superpower or a tool for kingship. It feels like a curse, a profound and terrible loneliness. You are the sole audience for the most beautiful show on earth, and it only serves to remind you that you are and always will be completely and utterly alone. The loneliness is a constant ache, a hollow space in your chest that no amount of hard labor can fill. Your days are a cycle of physical exhaustion, and your nights are spent in the silent, shared darkness of Jacob's house, listening to the soft breathing of a family whose world you can only observe. You are a ghost, haunting the edges of their reality. Your kingly ambitions have curdled into a quiet despair. And it is in this low, desolate state that you find a flicker of warmth, a single point of light in the overwhelming gray of your existence. Her name is Medina Sarote. She is different from the other villagers. In a community that values uniformity, she is an anomaly. She is the daughter of your host, Jacob, but she possesses none of his confident, placid authority. She is quiet and moves with a hesitation that the others lack. The reason for this, you soon learn, is that her face is not like theirs. In a world where tactile perception is paramount, her features are considered sharp and unconventional. Her nose is a little too defined, her chin a bit too pronounced. To them, her face is full of distracting, unpleasant edges. They do not consider her beautiful. But to you, with your cursed, useless sight, she is lovely. Her features, which they find abrasive to the touch, are fine and delicate to your eyes. She has long, dark lashes, a detail utterly lost on everyone else. That fringe eyes which, like all the others, have never seen. She often keeps to herself, her quiet nature setting her apart almost as much as her physical appearance. In their world of tactile aesthetics, she is an outcast. And perhaps it is this shared sense of being other that draws you to her. Your interactions begin subtly. When you come in from your chores, bruised and tired, it is often Medina Sarote who quietly brings you a cup of water or a bowl of food. You start to notice her hands. Unlike the others, whose hands are tools for navigating and understanding the world, constantly moving and assessing, hers are often still. Her fingers are long and graceful. The ancient art of palmistry, reading fortunes in the lines of a hand, has been practiced across cultures for millennia. Historians still debate its exact origins, whether in India or among the Romani people. But looking at her hands, you feel like your fortune is written there, a chance at connection, at a future not defined by solitude. You begin to speak with her. At first, it's just quiet pleasantries, a thank you for the water, a comment about the warmth of the fire. But gradually, your conversations lengthen. She is curious about you, about the Bogota man, but her questions are different from the others. She doesn't interrogate you about your madness. Instead, she asks about your feelings. She asks if you are lonely. She asks about the world you came from. To her, your descriptions of the world of sight are not symptoms of a diseased mind. They are stories. Beautiful, strange fairy tales from an impossible place. You tell her about the color green, not as a concept, but as the shade of the leaves on the trees after a rain. You tell her about the vastness of the ocean, a concept that is doubly alien to her, living in a valley. You tell her about the city of Bogota, about lights at night that rival the stars you tried to describe to her father. She listens, her head tilted. And when you speak of these things, she doesn't try to translate them into her own sensory language. She simply accepts them as the fabric of your strange and wonderful reality. She, in turn, tells you about her world. She teaches you the names of the different scents on the breeze, the sweet perfume of a particular night-blooming flower, the sharp, clean smell of rain on stone. She teaches you to feel the difference between the morning sun and the afternoon sun on your skin. She describes her life, the quiet pain of being different, of knowing that her own father and the elders find her features jarring and unpretty. She has a voice that is soft and low, a melody in the otherwise harsh symphony of your life. One evening, you are sitting together, just outside the doorway of the house. The other villagers are further down the path. Their voices a low murmur. You have just finished describing a sunrise over the mountains, the way the light slowly spills over the peaks and sets the snows on fire. It must be very beautiful, the world you see, she says, her voice barely a whisper. It is, you reply, looking at her profile silhouetted against the deepening twilight. But it can also be a very lonely thing to see it by yourself. She turns her face towards you. Slowly, tentatively, she reaches out and her fingers find your hand. Her touch is light, gentle, and it sends a jolt through you that has nothing to do with pain or exhaustion. It's a jolt of pure, unadulterated connection. You close your own hand around hers, your rough, calloused palm enveloping her slender fingers. For the first time since you fell into this valley, you don't feel like a freak or a beast of burden. You feel like a man. In the land of the blind, you had given up on being king. But as you sit there, holding her hand in the gathering dusk, you realize you might have found something infinitely more valuable. Your affection for Medina Sarote blossoms in the quiet spaces of village life. It's a love affair, conducted in hushed conversations and the gentle, stolen touch of hands. She becomes your confidant, your student, and your teacher. You describe for her the vibrant, silent world of sight, and she, in turn, helps you navigate the subtle, scented, textured world of the blind. For the first time, your fifth sense doesn't feel like a barrier. It feels like a gift you can share with her, painting pictures in her mind with your words. Her presence transforms your life of servitude from a miserable punishment into a bearable, almost meaningful existence. Hauling water is no longer just drudgery when you know you will see her gentle smile at the end of the day. This newfound happiness gives you courage, perhaps a foolish courage. You are no longer content to be the village simpleton who has found a sympathetic friend. You want more. You want a life with her. You want to marry Medina Sarote. The thought, once it takes root, seems like the most natural and logical step in the world. You are both outcasts. Together, you can build a small world of your own within the larger one. So, filled with a nervous hope that feels almost forgotten, you decide to make a formal appeal. You approach her father, the old elder Jakob, the man who has served as your keeper, your judge, and your employer. You find him sitting on a smooth stone bench near the central meeting space, his hands busy sorting a collection of smooth, flat pebbles. The villagers use these stones for some form of calculation or record keeping, their sensitive fingers reading tiny, imperceptible differences in texture and shape. It's their version of an abacus. You wait until he has finished his task. Then you clear your throat. Jakob, you begin, your voice more unsteady than you'd like. He turns his calm, unseeing face towards the sound of your voice. Bogota, man, is the firewood chopped? Yes, it is, you reply. I have come to you not as your worker, but as a man. I have a request to make. Jakob places the last pebble in its proper pile and stills his hands. Speak then. You take a deep breath. I have come to have a great affection for your daughter, Medina Sarote, and she for me. I wish to ask for your permission to marry her. There is a long, profound silence. It stretches for what feels like an eternity. The only sounds are the distant bleating of the llamas and the soft gurgle of the stream. Jakob's expression does not change. He does not show anger or surprise or even amusement. He simply sits, as still as the stone he sits on. When he finally speaks, his voice is not unkind, but it carries a weight of absolute finality. You cannot marry her. The words land like stones in your gut. But why? You stammer. We care for each other. I will work hard for her. I will protect her. You are the Bogota man, Jakob says, as if this is the only explanation necessary. You are not a settled man. Your mind is filled with oddities. You speak of things we cannot touch or hear. You believe the world has holes in it called windows. You think the sky is a color and a shape. These are the thoughts of an unstable person. But that's because I can see, you blurt out. The old frustration bubbling to the surface. It's not madness. It's a sense you do not have. Yes, Jakob agrees calmly. It is a sense we do not have, and that is the problem. You are in a world you cannot properly understand. You stumble on smooth paths. The cries of birds startle you. The scent of the rain means nothing to you. You are, in many ways, an infant. How can an infant be a husband? How can a man whose brain is so excitable and full of jarring thoughts be a suitable partner for any woman, let alone my daughter, who is already delicate? His words are a devastatingly logical dissection of your incompetence. He's not being cruel. He is being practical. He is a father protecting his daughter from a man he genuinely perceives as being mentally and physically handicapped. In the early 20th century, when this story was written, the eugenics movement was gaining horrifying traction, promoting the idea of improving the human race by preventing those with undesirable traits from having children. Jakob's logic, in its own context, is a chilling echo of that. You are unfit to marry into their society because of your fundamental, incurable differences. Your request is taken to the Council of Elders for a formal ruling. It's a bizarre proceeding. You are made to stand in the center of a circle of old men who poke and prod at the core of your being with their questions. They ask you to describe the sound of a rock. They ask you to walk a winding path with your eyes closed, and you immediately stumble into the stone curb, provoking murmurs of pity. They question you for hours about your seeing, and your honest answers only serve to damn you further. You are an alien, an unknown quantity, a broken thing. The verdict is unanimous. Your request to marry Medina Sarote is denied. You are deemed too unstable, too primitive in your senses, too fundamentally flawed to be a husband. They see you as a liability, a potential danger to the smooth, ordered fabric of their society. The very thing that you once believed would make you a king has now officially barred you from even the simplest of human connections. You are to continue your chores, to live under their care and protection, but the notion of a life with Medina Sarote is now forbidden. You have been weighed, measured, and formally rejected. The elder's rejection is a heavy, suffocating blanket. It extinguishes the small flame of hope that your love for Medina Sarote had kindled. You retreat back into a world of sullen silence, performing your menial tasks with a grim, joyless efficiency. The vibrant colors of the valley, which you had started to share with her through your descriptions, now seem to mock you with their beauty. You feel trapped, not just by the geography of the valley, but by the very architecture of their minds, a prison of perception with no doors or windows you can open. Medina Sarote is kept away from you. Jacob forbids her from speaking to you alone, from bringing you your water, from offering you any of the small kindnesses that had become the foundation of your world. You catch glimpses of her sometimes, a fleeting figure moving down a path, the back of her head as she sits with the other women, and the sight is a fresh twist of the knife in your gut. Her isolation mirrors your own. You are two lonely souls forbidden from comforting each other. You descend into a state of quiet desperation, the old frustrations and dormant arrogance beginning to smolder once more. Are they really so content in their darkness? Are they so perfect in their limited world that they can't see the gift you offer? Your love for Medina Sarote becomes intertwined with your resentment for their willful blindness. You begin to act out in small, petty ways. You complain more openly. You work more slowly. You argue, trying once again to force them to acknowledge the reality of sight. But your pleas are met with the same maddening, paternalistic calm. To them, you are not a lover pleading his case. You are a patient having a relapse. This period of tension continues for what feels like weeks. The elders watch you, their unseeing faces impossible to read, their heads cocked as they listen to the dissonant note of your unhappiness. Then, one day, Jacob approaches you, not alone, but with two other serious-looking elders. There is an air of solemn purpose about them that sets your teeth on edge. Bogota man, Jakob begins, his voice carrying the formal weight of a pronouncement. We have been observing you. We have listened to your distress. The council has discussed your case at great length. We have consulted the oldest traditions and the wisest minds among us. You brace yourself, expecting to be exiled to a more remote part of the valley, or perhaps to have your workload doubled. We understand now, Jakob continues, that your ailment runs deeper than we had first thought. Your mind is agitated by these things you call sight, these irritant organs you have on your face, the things that are not smooth, the things that flutter. They are the source of your madness. They fill your brain with shadows, colors, and empty spaces. They are the cause of your instability. You stare at him, uncomprehending. My eyes? These eyes, he says, using your word as if handling a strange and dangerous object. They are the reason you cannot function as a man. They are the reason you stumble, the reason your mind is not calm, the reason you are unfit for marriage. They are a disease, and we, as a community, have a duty to help you when you are afflicted. An old surgeon from the Abbasid Caliphate, al-Zahrawi, is sometimes called the father of surgery. He invented over 200 surgical instruments and wrote a 1,500-page illustrated encyclopedia of medicine. He understood that to cure the patient, you sometimes had to cut away the disease. The logic of the elders, you realize with a cold, dawning horror, is just as impeccably, terribly sound. One of the other elders, a man named Abner, who has the reputation of being their most skilled healer and bone setter, steps forward. His hands, you have always noted, are particularly large and strong. We have a cure, he says, his voice a low rumble. A simple operation. We can remove these two irritant bodies from your face. It is a delicate procedure, but one I have performed on the llamas when their eyes become diseased. Once they are gone, your brain will no longer be agitated by these strange pictures. It will become calm. Your other senses will sharpen. You will learn to truly feel and hear the world. You will become like us. You will become a whole man. You take an involuntary step back, a strangled noise of disbelief escaping your throat. They want to blind you. They are offering to mutilate you, to destroy the very core of your identity, and they are presenting it as a generous therapeutic act, a cure for your insanity. Once you are cured, Jakob says, his voice filled with what sounds like genuine compassion, then you will be a man of our people. Your mind will be settled. You will be fit. And then you may ask for Medina Sarote's hand again. We will not deny you. The proposition hangs in the air, monstrous and surreal. They are offering you everything you want: acceptance, belonging, the love of Medina Sarote, at an unimaginable price. They are offering you a place in their world, but to accept it, you must first let them scoop out the windows of your soul. Your kingdom, it turns out, comes with one hell of a coronation ceremony. You look from Jacob's placid face to Abner's strong, capable hands, and for the first time since falling into this valley, you feel a terror so profound it threatens to swallow you whole. The elder's proposal echoes in your mind, a grotesque and terrifying beat. Cure you, make you whole, blind you. The horror of it is a physical thing, a cold knot of dread in your stomach. You spend the next day in a daze, performing your chores automatically, your thoughts racing. Every time you look at the vibrant green of the grass, the deep blue of the sky, the subtle shades of gray on the rock faces, a wave of panic washes over you. This is what they want to take away. They want to plunge you into their eternal, starless night, and they call it an act of mercy. You avoid Jacob and the other elders, your fear curdling into a simmering rage. How dare they? How could they be so arrogant, so convinced of the superiority of their limited world that they would demand such a sacrifice? You are no longer just a clumsy simpleton in their eyes. You are a defective specimen in need of fixing. It's a profound, fundamental violation of who and what you are. You try to argue, to protest, but your words are useless. They see your terror not as a sane reaction to a horrific suggestion, but as the fear of a sick man resisting a necessary medicine. Your panic is just another symptom of the disease they want to cure. That evening, racked with fear and indecision, you seek out the one person you believe might understand. You have to speak to Medina Sarote. Despite her father's orders, you find a way. You wait until the village has settled into its nightly rhythm, until the sounds of activity have faded to a low murmur. You circle around the back of the houses, moving as silently as you can, and find her near a small, walled enclosure where she tends to a few fragrant herb bushes, her one private space. She is sitting on a low stone wall, her face turned up towards a sky she cannot see. She knows you're there before you say a word. Her head turns slightly in your direction. You should not be here, she whispers, but there's no force in her words. I had to see you, you say, your voice ragged. Medina Sarote, do you know what they have proposed? What your father wants to do to me? She nods slowly, her hands twisting in her lap. I know, she says. He told me. And? You press, desperation making your voice sharp. You cannot possibly agree with this. It's monstrous. They want to destroy me. You expect her to share your outrage, to join you in your horror. You expect her to promise to run away with you, to defy her father and the entire village for the sake of your love and your sanity. But she remains silent, her head bowed. The silence stretches, filled only by the chirping of insects. The air carries the faint, sweet scent of the herb she tends. In some parts of ancient Greece, a specific herb called silphium was so valuable as a seasoning and medicine that it was harvested into extinction. You feel that her words, when they finally come, will be just as precious and perhaps just as finite. When she finally looks up, her expression is not one of anger or defiance. It is one of profound, heartbreaking sadness. "My love," she begins, her voice trembling slightly. "They don't want to destroy you. They want to heal you." You stare at her, aghast. "Heal me? By blinding me? How can you say that?" "Because I love you," she says. And a tear, a real, wet tear that you can see glittering in the faint starlight, traces a path down her cheek. "And I want you to be happy. I want you to be at peace, and you are never at peace. Your mind is always wrestling with the world. You see things that make you stumble. You hear things that make you jump. You live in a state of constant agitation. I have listened to you. I have felt your unrest. I cannot stand to see you so tormented." Her words are so full of genuine love and concern that they are more devastating than any cruelty could ever be. She has completely absorbed the village's diagnosis. She believes in your madness. "They say that once the eyes are gone, the soul can settle," she continues, her voice gaining a desperate, pleading earnestness. "The world will become simple and clear for you, the way it is for us. You will learn to truly hear the music of the stream and feel the warmth of the sun and know the true shape of things by touch. You will not be distracted by all the empty spaces and the shining colors that distress your mind. You will be one of us. You will be whole, and we can be together. We can be happy." It's the worst possible betrayal, born not of malice, but of love. She is asking you to sacrifice your very essence, to mutilate your soul, for her idea of your happiness. She holds out her hands to you, her face a mask of loving encouragement. "Please," she whispers, "let them do it. For me, for us." You look at her, at the beautiful face you alone can appreciate, at the earnest love shining in her voice, and you feel the ground crumble beneath you. The last ally you thought you had in this world is actively, lovingly encouraging you to walk to your own mutilation. She sees it as the only path to your salvation, the only way your two worlds can ever truly meet. The choice they have given you was already impossible. Her gentle, awful encouragement has made it unbearable. You leave Medina Sarote by the herb garden. Her pleading whispers echoing in your ears. You stumble away into the darkness, your mind a chaotic storm of love and horror. Her gentle words have hurt you more than any physical blow. The choice, which once seemed a clear-cut matter of sanity versus mutilation, is now hopelessly clouded by emotion. She loves you. She genuinely believes this horrific act is the key to your happiness and their shared future. To refuse the surgery is to reject her, to refuse her world, to deny the very foundation of her love. You don't go back to Jacob's house. You can't face the suffocating, compassionate darkness within. Instead, you find your way to the edge of the village, to a rocky outcrop that overlooks the valley. It's the place you often go to be alone with your sight, a silent sanctuary they cannot share. You sink down onto the cold stone, your body trembling with a nauseous mixture of fear and despair. The night is brilliant. A full moon has risen, bathing the valley in a soft, silvery light. The world, which by day is a tapestry of greens and browns, has been transformed into a stark, beautiful landscape of silver and black. The snow-capped peaks that rim the valley glow with a ghostly luminescence against the deep, star-dusted velvet of the sky. It's a panorama of sublime, silent grandeur, and you think, this is what they want to take. You close your eyes tightly, trying to imagine it. You try to force yourself into their world. You concentrate on the other senses. You can feel the rough, cool texture of the rock beneath your hands. You can hear the whisper of the high-altitude wind moving through the gnarled trees, the distant, gentle murmur of the stream. You can smell the clean, cold scent of the night air, tinged with the faintest hint of wood smoke from the village. It is a world of sensation, to be sure. It is real. But then you open your eyes again, and the sheer, breathtaking majesty of the visual world floods back in. The moon, the stars, the shadows of the cliffs stretching like long, dark fingers across the valley floor. You can see the entire layout of the village below, each sleeping, windowless hut, a small, dark shape in the silver light. You can see the winding paths that connect them, glowing faintly under the moon. This vast, silent, glorious reality, and they know nothing of it. They live their entire lives in the small, dark room of their other senses, convinced it is the whole mansion. Could you do it? Could you give this up? For love, for a life of peace and belonging, could you consent to have this universe of light and color scraped out of your head? You picture a life with Medina Sarote, a life of shared touch and sound. You imagine the peace of no longer being the village eccentric, the calm of an unagitated mind. You could have a family, a home. You would be accepted. cared for, and loved. All you have to do is surrender the sky. All you have to do is let them put out the stars. The debate is a silent, agonizing war within you. On one side is your love for Medina Sarote and the deep human longing for connection and belonging. On the other is the fundamental, core truth of your own identity. To be blinded would be a kind of death. You would cease to be Nunez, the man who fell from the sky, the man who sees. You would become someone else, a creature of their world, shaped and defined by their limitations. Is the love of one person worth the sacrifice of your entire self? Historians still debate the motives of individuals who made great sacrifices, like the Roman general Regulus, who, according to legend, chose to return to certain torture and death in Carthage rather than break an oath. Was it honor, pride, a deeply ingrained cultural value? Your own dilemma feels just as mythic and just as impossible. Pride is part of it, certainly. The stubborn refusal to let them break you, to let their ignorance triumph over your knowledge. But it's more than pride. It's a desperate, primal loyalty to the light. You watch as a shooting star, a brief, brilliant scratch of fire, arcs across the heavens and disappears. A fleeting, pointless, beautiful spectacle that no one else in this valley will ever know happened. You think about the world you left behind. A world of cities, of books, filled with the accumulated sight of thousands of years of human history, of paintings and photographs, of faces you can recognize from 100 feet away. It's a flawed and chaotic world, but it is a world that acknowledges the sun. You sit there for hours under the vast, uncaring, beautiful sky, the cold seeping into your bones. The moon begins its slow descent, and the first faint hint of dawn begins to touch the eastern peaks with a pale gray light. A choice has to be made. A life of love in the dark, or a life of solitude in the light. By the time the sun's first rays spill into the valley, you have made it. The war is over. You know what you have to do. Dawn breaks, not as a gentle awakening, but as a silent, urgent command. The decision, once made, leaves no room for hesitation. Every moment you linger in the valley is a moment closer to Abner's steady, therapeutic hands and the extinguishing of your world. Love is a powerful force, but self-preservation is a primal one, and it is now screaming in your ears. You don't go back to the village. There is no time for goodbyes. A farewell to Medina Sarote would be a fatal act of self-sabotage. Her loving, tearful pleas would unravel your resolve, pulling you back towards the darkness. You cannot risk it. You have to leave her behind. The thought is a shard of ice in your heart, but it is a necessary pain. You stand up from your cold stone perch, your limbs stiff, your body aching, with a weariness that is more than physical. You look down one last time at the sleeping village, a place that has been your prison, your home, your classroom, and the setting for the strangest love story of your life. Then you turn your back on it and begin to climb. Your escape is the mirror image of your arrival. Then you fell from the known world into the unknown. Now you must claw your way out. You have no gear, no rope, no ice axe, no food. You have only the desperate strength born of terror and the knowledge stored in your own body from a lifetime of climbing. You head towards the least sheer part of the valley's rim, a section of steep, broken rock and scree slopes that you had noticed long ago, filing it away as a potential, if suicidal, escape route. The ascent is a brutal, vertical agony. The rock is loose and treacherous. For every 3 feet of progress, you feel like you slide back too. Your hands, soft from months of simple labor, are quickly torn and bleeding on the sharp edges of the stone. Your lungs burn, unaccustomed to the exertion at this altitude. Every muscle screams in protest. You climb with a frantic, animalistic focus. The world is reduced to the next handhold, the next foothold, a crack in the rock, a sturdy-looking root from a gnarled shrub, the friction of your boot against a sloping ledge. You think about other desperate escapes. You remember reading about the breakout from the infamous Alcatraz prison. The inmates used painstakingly crafted papier-mâché heads to fool the guards into thinking they were asleep in their bunks. Your own deception is one of silence. You pray that the village sleeps late, that no one thinks to check on the Bogota man until you are well out of earshot. Their keen hearing, which you once dismissed, is now the greatest threat to your freedom. The sound of a falling rock, a panted curse, a desperate scrabble for purchase, any of it could drift down to them and bring them out of their huts, their blank faces turning upwards towards the sound of your flight. Hours pass. The sun climbs higher, beating down on your back. You are parched with thirst, your throat as dry as dust. Dizzy spells wash over you. There are moments when your grip loosens, when the abyss below seems to beckon, promising a quick end to the struggle. In these moments, you think of Abner's face, his calm, professional demeanor. You picture his strong hands reaching for you, and the terror gives you a fresh surge of adrenaline. You push on. You focus on the small details to keep your mind from fracturing. The surprising blue of a tiny wildflower growing in a crack in the rock. The geometric patterns of lichen clinging to a stone face. The sight of a condor circling high above you. A black speck of effortless freedom in the vast sky. You are climbing back towards its world, a world of perspective, of distance, of light. Late in the afternoon, battered, bleeding, and on the verge of total collapse, you pull yourself over the final ledge. You are out. You have reached the rim of the valley. You collapse onto a snowfield, your body shaking uncontrollably, your breath coming in ragged, painful gasps. Below you, cradled in its mountain prison, lies the country of the blind. It looks so peaceful from up here, so serene. A small, perfect, self-contained world. You can just make out tiny, dark figures moving along the paths. Is one of them Medina Sarote? Is she wondering where you are? Does she think you are lying in a drugged sleep, awaiting your cure? The pain of that question is sharper than any cut on your hands. You have escaped their world of four senses. But as you lie here, bruised and broken on the edge of the vast, empty Andes, you have no food, no shelter, and no clear path back to your own. You have chosen sight over love, the light over a home. You have saved yourself, but you are utterly and completely alone. A single, wounded man on the roof of the world, and you have no idea what comes next. The snow is a shock of cold that seeps through your torn trousers, a brutal welcome back to the world of unforgiving realities. For a long moment, you do nothing but lie there, a heap of exhaustion and pain, greedily sucking in the thin, sharp air. Each breath is a reminder that you are alive and free. Each throb of your bloody fingers is a testament to the price of that freedom. You have won. You have escaped the loving, gentle, horrifying trap they set for you. Slowly, painfully, you push yourself into a sitting position. Your gaze is drawn back towards the valley. From this height, it's a perfect, almost idyllic scene. A green and fertile scar in the immense gray and white monotony of the mountains. You can see the whole of it, its pathways like veins on a leaf, its windowless houses like scattered stones. A faint plume of smoke rises from the central hearth, a sign of the communal life that continues untroubled without you. A life that could have been yours. You think of Medina Sarote. You see her in your mind's eye, her gentle face turned towards the sound of your voice, her hands reaching for you. Was it wisdom, or was it a great and terrible cowardice that made you run? You tear your eyes away from the past and force them towards the future. And your heart sinks. Before you stretches a panorama of utter desolation, an endless sea of rock and ice, peak after jagged peak, stabbing at the sky. There is no path, no sign of human life, no hint of the trail your companions might have taken. There is nothing but the vast, silent, inhuman scale of the Andes. You have climbed out of your prison and into an empty universe. At least in the valley, there was food and warmth. Here, there is only beauty and death. You are truly, profoundly alone, and scholars and psychologists still debate the effects of such solitude. Some argue that without social reflection, the human mind begins to fray and invent its own realities. Others propose that it can lead to a state of profound clarity. You wonder which way you'll break. Will you start having conversations with the rocks, or will you achieve some kind of desolate enlightenment before you freeze? A dry, mirthless laugh escapes your chapped lips. At least the rent is free. The sun is beginning to dip towards the horizon, and the temperature is already plummeting. The wind picks up, a razor-sharp draft that cuts through your tattered clothes. Survival is no longer an abstract concept. It is a desperate, immediate need. You must find shelter from the wind, or you will not see another sunrise, beautiful and damning as it may be. You stagger to your feet, your body a symphony of complaint, and begin to search. You scan the rock faces around you, looking for any kind of overhang, any depression that might offer a respite from the killer wind. The thought of simply freezing to death here reminds you of the stories of the Capacocha, the Incan ritual of child sacrifice, where chosen children were taken to high mountain peaks, given chicha to drink, and left to freeze to death as offerings to the gods. The most famous of these, the Ice Maiden Juanita, was found perfectly preserved near the summit of a volcano, a silent testament to the mountain's power. You would be a far less noble or well-preserved discovery. Finally, you see it. A shallow scoop in a wall of dark rock, not a cave, but a small alcove, barely deep enough for you to curl into. It's littered with stones, but its back wall will offer a break from the wind. It will have to do. You stumble towards it, your vision starting to blur at the edges from exhaustion and dehydration. Your eyelids burn from the glare of the snow and the sting of the wind. You remember a strange fact you once read about penguins, that they have a third clear eyelid that they can close to protect their eyes underwater while still being able to see. You find yourself wishing quite desperately for a pair of penguin eyelids. You crawl into the alcove, pulling your limbs in, trying to make yourself as small a target as possible for the cold. You huddle there, shivering, as the last light of the sun paints the opposing peaks in fiery strokes of orange and red. It is a spectacle of almost violent beauty, a final, magnificent show for an audience of one. The pain in your hands is a dull throb. The hunger in your stomach is a hollow ache. The grief for Medina Sarote is a constant, heavy weight. You have your sight. You have the sky, the stars, the glorious, unforgiving light. You have everything you fought for, and you have nothing at all. As darkness consumes the mountains, you close your eyes, unsure if you will ever open them again, and you rest on the edge of eternity. And so, your journey finds its rest here, in the cold, silent embrace of the high mountain peaks. The frantic struggle for survival, the desperate climb toward the light, now gives way to a profound and heavy stillness. The jagged peaks that seemed so threatening just hours ago now soften in the fading light, their sharp edges blurring into the deep indigo of the coming night, becoming less like daggers and more like the gentle, rolling shoulders of sleeping giants. The sharp sting of the wind lessens to a mournful whisper, a lullaby for a world going to sleep. As you huddle in the shallow shelter of the rock, the memories of the valley return, not as torment, but as soft echoes. You can almost feel the gentle, questioning touch of Medina Sarote's fingers on your hand, a sensation as real and as solid as the stone at your back. Was it worth it? The question softens, losing its sharp, frantic edge, the answer becoming less important than the quiet of this moment. The vast, star-dusted sky you sacrificed everything for now unfolds above you, a silent, beautiful, and peaceful blanket. The ache in your body begins to feel distant, a story belonging to someone else, and a deep, overwhelming weariness, heavier and more powerful than any fear, pulls you down into its depths. The world of sight, the world of sound, the world of touch, it all begins to fade into the simple, singular reality of rest. There, on the edge of the world, suspended between a lost love and an unknown future, you finally let go, drifting into the quiet, dreamless darkness you fought so hard to escape.